and confirm buttons.
Eleven are present, Your Honor. Alderman Nicholson will be a little late.
All right, that's fine. We have a quorum and we'll proceed. So if you'd all now please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, help us to use the gifts you've given each of us so that together we can do your will and bring happiness and opportunity to our fellow man. While we work as a council for the betterment of our community, we also stand here tonight in gratitude for the special people who work with those less fortunate. We're grateful for the many volunteers and employees of organizations who give of their time and talents. Yesterday, we celebrated World Food Day at Paul's Pantry. We're grateful for the people who work to serve the hungry in our community. And this month, we acknowledge Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and we focus our attention to those who live in abusive and unhealthy relationships. And this weekend, we're grateful to celebrate Make a Difference Day, where hundreds of Green Bay residents will be out in our community to volunteer their time helping neighbors. We pray that you help all of us make a difference as we work together for the people of our community. We're blessed to live here in Green Bay, and we know that with a strong focus on you and a focus on our fellow man, we'll continue to lift the lives of those who call Green Bay home. Please bless and protect all our servicemen and women, especially those serving on the USS Green Bay. We ask this in your name. Amen. All right, and with that, what are your wishes regarding the approval of the minutes of October 4th? Oh, you're here. There's a motion by Alderman Andy Nicholson and seconded by Alderperson Barb Dorr for approval of the minutes. Any changes or things here? With that, seeing no lights, all in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the minutes of the October 4th meeting have been approved. We're now looking for a motion to approve the agenda. And all right, there's a motion by Alderman Randy Scannell and seconded by Alderman Chris Weary. Alderman Dwayne.
Yes, Your Honor. I would like to move up the recognition of the crossing guards right after your presentation.
Okay, so a motion to move the crossing guard recognition up to right after the, right before the public hearing, and that was a motion by Alderman Tom Slottick and seconded by Alderman Chris Weary. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. And those opposed, nay. Anything else, Alderman Stoyer? Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to adopt as amended. By Alderman Randy Scannell, seconded by Alderman Bill Galvin. All in favor of the amended agenda, please signify by saying aye. And those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the agenda as amended has been approved.
Report by the mayor.
Just a couple things. Again, as I mentioned in the invocation tonight, I just want to thank the council people and especially the community for who helped celebrate. This is a busy couple weeks in terms of recognition, volunteerism, the students at World Food Day, and that whole walk a mile. And Saturday, as you know, is Make a Difference Day at the Volunteer Center. And meet at 8:30, and a lot of people go out into this community and help a lot of other people. The other thing I just wanted to remind you of, and I'll say this again in my budget presentation, is of course we're meeting on November 1st and then again on November 7th. So I just want to make you aware of those two times. That is it.
We're on to announcements.
Are there any announcements tonight? Alderman Randy Scannell.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just two, and both in support of New Community. This Friday, I forgot my sheet. I don't know. I thought I had. Okay, this Friday they are selling Booyah by the Galleon until it's gone, starting at 11 o'clock. I believe it's 8 for court, and I don't remember the rest. Unfortunately, I forgot my sheet at home. But
Is New Community Shelter on Mather is doing this?
Yes.
Okay, at their location?
At their location.
Okay, terrific.
Yep, thank you. And then also New Community is Saturday, November 5th, they're having their 21st annual New Community Shelter Bowl-a-thon, which if you can get together a group of 6-ish people, and raise up $150,000 for them, they would be much appreciated. But
150, he said.
yeah, I've just
150,000.
I'm only
All right,
raise some money for them. I just threw in a number. Any number would be fine.
all right.
Why don't you raise your eyebrows? Okay, so, and that'll be Saturday, November 5th. Get a hold of them as soon as you can get a team together and go have some fun. It's a good time and a good cause. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Alderman Joe Moore on announcements.
Yes, Your Honor. I was just going to ask if City Clerk Chris Teske could give us an update on City Hall voting and registration with the UWGB campus.
We've been really busy. It's continuous. And last week, we had a registration drive out there with the special registration deputies. They did 319 registrations at UWGB. We also had about 150 that went on myvote.wi.gov and registered there. So it's really going well.
Great, thank you. Anything else? All right. Is that queued up? All right, so we are on to a presentation of the 2017 budget, and as you know, I've done every year. This is just a framework of what I'm proposing, and let me get over to the podium so we can. Can you get this so it's on the PowerPoint? Are you gonna run that? I want. You want me to stay here and just run it through there?
I think it's up already, so.
Okay, why isn't it on here? Quick PC. All right. So you're going to click it from there, and I'm just going to talk from. All right. Well, here we go. So tonight, I want to give you the framework of the 2017 proposed budget. This is obviously presented to you, and I want to go through the timeline. So tonight, October 18th, we do the budget overview to the City Council. The budget books will be available tonight after the meeting, and I just ask that you just take one and review it. And between now and Tuesday, November 1st, contact any department heads, myself, Celestine, Dawn. Be happy to meet with you and talk about it. And then Wednesday, October 26th, is just that public open house. And that's where we invite the community to stop in and talk to department heads or talk to myself and Celestine about the budget. Then Tuesday, November 1st, November 1st is the Joint Personnel and Finance Committee. That's at 3 p.m., and that's really the meeting where the Joint Personnel and Finance Committee take this kind of line by line and really go through the budget. And then on Monday, November 7th, here in these chambers, we will have the regular council meeting as well as adoption of the budget, and that meeting starts at noon. So that's the timeline. We've talked about it. I just want to confirm that. So let's talk about 2016, the year end. So we're going to end this year with a balanced budget again. We've done that the last 13. The new construction and redevelopment, all in, will be about $180 million. Now I know Aurora's a big part of that, but we've had a good year. We will complete development of major projects, Metro, Festival Foods, and Grandview, which will all hit the tax rolls in 2017. And thanks to your efforts, we reorganized the planning and economic development departments. And as the chief updates you on a weekly basis, our overall crime is down. Now, before I get into 2017, which calls for an investment in our employees and planning, I want to just take 1 minute to talk to you, or 2 minutes to talk to you about the strength of cities and metro economies. And I just think this is important that we look at our community as a regional economy, as an economic engine. Cities and their metro areas, they drive the U.S. economy. I mean, people in metro areas are 85% of the nation's population, 87% of the employment, 91% of the wage income. And it gets even more impressive. I mean, cities and metro areas is where the growth is in the United States. And Green Bay is part of this. Global Insight looks at Green Bay, continued growth of a little over 2.1% per year between now and 2021. and that compares to less than 2% in Chicago and Eau Claire. And, you look at our community, even the regional community at, even if we're, 2, 3%, 4% of the population, Green Bay, our area generates over 6% of the gross metropolitan product here in Green Bay. So that, we're more than just, a city. We are an economic engine for this community, and I want to continue that growth. So these are our goals for 2017. We need to continue this economic growth. We've got a lot to do tonight, but I'm really hoping you support the construction and development, including Easttown Mall, the Cub Foods, the near west side, which we have a lot going on, and then the Stadium District. We've talked about Veneti's and some other opportunities around that district that I think we could be successful with. We're looking to have 100 new housing starts next year. We have had a better year this year than we did last year, but next year I think could even be better. Now, building permits, which is kind of a test on how we're doing in Green Bay. Our goal for 2016 was $700,000, and that's everything from a remodeled bathroom to new construction to a factory being built. And so we're looking to, in the budget, you'll see that we have permits of $875,000 projected. I think we need to make a commitment to a public safety building site. The selection committee has been meeting for over a year. They've identified their needs. They've identified the square foot they need. And I think it's incumbent upon this council to make a commitment to some sites. And I obviously have a couple that I would prefer, but we're going to talk about that. I have in this budget, because of the growth we're having, and we just have the most awesome employees, there's no cuts to any services or employees, and I think we've looked at that. We've talked about it. I'm going to get to that a little bit later on what I feel we should do. And then we are going to institute that online request for services, and I think you're all pretty familiar with using your iPhone and putting in a constituent concern and being tracked properly through the right departments with a tracking number. So let's look at property tax levies. And when we're going to talk a little bit more at the Joint Finance about De Pere and Alloway and Ashwaubenon, but when I look at where we're at in terms of more metro areas or bigger cities or economic engines, these are the 5 cities that are obviously the top 5 cities in the state. And when we look at a tax levy per capita, we're in the range, right? But I think if we don't continue to grow, this number's going to go down. But if we don't, it can go the other way. And I was talking to one of you earlier, and I just hope we never take anything for granted here. I mean, this is tough. It's very competitive, and there's Midwest cities that have lost population. This city in Minnesota, 118,000, down 9%, and Midwest cities in Illinois, Decatur, and Pennsylvania are down, 4 and 3% in population. And that is a slippery slope. So I just hope that with what we're doing with our property investments, what we're doing with our employees, that we can continue growth in the city of Green Bay. Property tax rates. So this is an equalize. This is what the state does to kind of say if all things were equal, but the city is competitive, right? Now, on assessed rate, we're at 886, but that would all be pretty relative as well. But you can look at what people, when you live in Green Bay, it's different than living in a suburb. I mean, it's a real city. We've got, real people, but we have real issues, right? We have, some lower income. We have some issues with homeless. We have some issues with being 160 years old, of infrastructure. And I just think that we are competitive, and I think we're realizing that by the investment and by the growth of the city. But so this is, you'll spend some time on this this week. Go to the next slide, Celestine. But I mean, this, I know you can't read all this, but this is historical budgets, right, from 2013 to what I'm proposing today. And as you can see, the city council had a very slight decrease. I think there's a dental benefit or something, but Mayor's office elections are down, mayor's office is flat. But you can see where we're kind of seeing some increases is, police is up 3%, fire's up 4%. Park and Rec, and I want to address that. The increase largely in Park and Rec, you guys, is the part-time employees. The United States, we kind of put people in three categories: minimum wage to $13, $13 to $20, and over $20. And we're not competitive on the lower market. We have 1,000 full-time employees, and we hire another 1,000 part-time employees, and we're losing them to other municipalities, festival, I mean, you name it. And we're not competitive. So there's $81,000 in there, but we need to do that. And Donnie Kramer and Steve Grenier will explain that as we get more into the budget. And then community services and the economic development. We've had two new positions that we're bringing in there, and that was part of our plan. We want to double down on what we're doing. So overall, you can see that I'm proposing some increases in the budget. There's also some things that come from the great state of Wisconsin that we have to adhere to. And the WRS is the Wisconsin Retirement System. And as you know, that they use a rolling average, but every 5 years they true it up. And for those of you who are here in 2004, it was a significant true up. But they said, look, we need more contributions to keep this solvent. I mean, we don't want to be in Illinois or California. And the state had said to us there's going to be more contribution for police of $210,000, fire of $254,000, and the other employees we have here of $48,000. We as a council made some votes, and we need to stand up on those votes, but we voted for a new police contract, and that is impacting the budget in 2017 of the tune of $784,000. That is significant, but was worth every penny of it. The morale's there, the chief has the authority, the people who work in the department have more opportunities. So I think that was a wise move, but an expensive one. Of course, we have the fire department, which we are under an agreement with of an increase of $452,000, and then the cost of living adjustment for the rest of our employees at $437,000, which we had talked about. So. Then the last thing is the seasonal employees, and this was at $130,000, 81 from Parks, and I think I guess the remainder would be 40 from DPW. But these are the seasonal employees that we're really having a hard time filling these positions, and I had approved $1 an hour increase, and I hope you support that. And then of course we have our health and dental insurance program that we're looking at a $150,000 increase, but. All total, these expenses for our employees, which is the majority of our budget, are $2.4 million. Now, this next slide is really nothing new to you, but is my final slide. The state of Wisconsin, as you know, has the expenditure restraint program, and they incent communities for holding expenses to a certain level, and they use the CPI and a couple other things, but our number this year is $1.2 million. And the state said, look, Green Bay, and if you hold your expenses to $1.2 million, you are entitled to a rebate, an incentive of $1.7 million. So that was a goal of ours from June when we started working on this budget. The state also allows Green Bay, based on who we are, to raise taxes 3%. Now, we have not raised taxes here in 5 years. And I think we have got as efficient as we can get, and I think we need to continue the growth. And if we are cutting, we're going to cut services. I mean, we're to the bone on this. And I am proposing, and this is really not my DNA, but a tax increase of 1.9%, just under 2% tax increase. If we do that, this will mean to the average home in Green Bay, which is $128,000, $21.04 for the year. Now, I get out to a lot of events, as many of you do. I think I maybe do a little bit more, closer to 500, and I have been talking about this. I talked to this while I was in line at a funeral yesterday. And I'm not getting a lot of pushback on if we continue our services and we continue the growth, I can live with $21 on my house. And some of us, it's a little bit more, but I took an average price of an average house in Green Bay of, I think it was $128,000. And I know it's not easy to vote for a tax increase. Like, I get that. I've been in the legislative side, but as I said, with my discussions, I think people like their services and they like the way the majority of things are working, and they want something that you hear about and I hear about. They also want their streets repaved. And I want to tell you, and I've told you this, and we're working on it, but we're not alone as a city when it comes to infrastructure. That is the number one goal of mayors in the United States. And there will be a bill coming out after the president's elected and sworn in February that is going to help communities with infrastructure. And whether it's going to be my bill of a matching bonding or if it's going to be something modeled after a community development block grant where it's direct money, there will be some infrastructure money. This has been a tough budget, but I feel good about it, and I want you to take a look at this. We're all available to talk to you anytime. I look forward to meeting with you, and I just thank you for what you're doing for the city of Green Bay. That concludes my report. Okay. Great. Go ahead.
We're on to recognitions.
All right, we have some special people in the house tonight, and I always talk about the great people of Green Bay, but tonight, the chief is at a conference, so I think Captain Abel is going to take over, and Ken, some people who have been working to help our community, but most importantly, keep our kids safe for over 25 years. So why don't I turn this over to you, and you can take it from there, and we'll get
All
some
right.
pictures in a minute.
I'm Paul Abel, for those who don't know me. Many of you do. Tonight, we have the great opportunity to recognize some crossing guards that have been with the city of Green Bay for 20-plus years. So first, we have Debbie, who's been with the city of Green Bay since, my glasses on, May 24th, 1989. She was a relief crossing guard. In August of 1989, she accepted a position as a regular crossing guard, was assigned to Cass and Monroe for 2 years, and then Danzig University, where she has successfully and safely crossed the children of Green Bay for the last 25 years. She retired in August of this year. We are grateful for Debbie's commitment and safety to the safety of the children of Green Bay. Over the years, she has braved not only the rain and the snow, but careless motorists and a bunch of other frustrations that come with that position. She has done so with dignity and has been a valuable asset to the city of Green Bay. We thank Debbie on behalf of the city of Green Bay and the Green Bay Police Department for your 27 years of service as an adult school crossing guard. We have this plaque to present to you.
Congrats, that's awesome.
Joanne?
Hi, Joanne, how are you? Okay, we have Joanne Hilly with us right here. She started with Green Bay in February of 1983, and on August 24th of 1983, she accepted a position as a regular crossing guard, and she was assigned to Gray and Shawano by Lincoln Elementary School for most of those years of service, and recently moved over to Ashland and Mather by Jefferson Elementary. Joanne has safely crossed the children of Green Bay for the last 33 years. We are grateful for your years of service and dedication and commitment to the safety of the children of Green Bay. Over the years, you have braved the rain and the wind and the snow, careless motorists, and along with the other frustrations that go with that position. You've done so with dignity and honor, and we thank you on behalf of the city of Green Bay and the Green Bay Police Department for your 33 years of service as a crossing guard.
Thank you.
That's awesome. One time, Judge. You're doing that.
Joanne still serves the city of Green Bay, by the way. She's still on the corner, and I just may have to drive by her corner on the way home or on the way to work. Joe McKeefery. You might have crossed me as I was a child, and maybe Drew Lentz over there. She started in 1977, folks.
Didn't cross Weary because he wasn't even born then.
She started September 6, 1977, as a regular crossing guard for the city of Green Bay. Joe was assigned to August in Limekiln. I've driven past your corner many times when I lived over on Lilac Lane, over by Eisenhower School. For all but 1 year of her 39 years of crossing children for the city of Green Bay. We are grateful for Joe McKeefery's commitment to the safety of the children of Green Bay. Over the years, she has braved the same weather, the rain, the snow, and the sleet, the motorists, and other frustrations with that. You've done so with dignity and honor. We'd like to thank you on behalf of the city of Green Bay and the Green Bay Police Department for your 39 years of service as a crossing guard. Thank you.
That's incredible. Thank you for doing that.
Just to show you the commitment, she still is out there every day when school is in session.
God bless you. Thank you. That's great.
We are
Thank you,
on
Kim.
to public hearings. General ordinance number 20-16, an ordinance amending chapter 13 of the code regarding transient residential uses, short-term rentals. Zoning ordinance number 21-16, an ordinance rezoning property located at the 3000 block of East Mason Street from rural residential district to office residential district. And zoning ordinance number 22-16, an ordinance rezoning located at 1010 University Avenue from general industrial district to neighborhood center district.
So we're on to the public hearings for the three general ordinances as outlined by the clerk. Is there anyone here would like to speak to any one of these three? Anyone want to speak to this? So this is that short-term rental, transient housing, as well as the other two items. Anyone want to speak to that? Anyone wishing to be heard? All right, we'll let the record show no one came forward.
You may, under suspension of the rules, take up ordinances 16, 19, and 20 with a roll call vote.
All right, there's a motion by Alderman Dave Nenning, seconded by Alderman Joe Moore to suspend the rules for that purpose. All in favor of suspension, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it. The rules are now suspended. Now look out for a motion to adopt. Okay, there's a motion by Alderman Randy Scanlon, seconded by Alderman Tom DeWayne, to adopt general ordinances number 2016, 2116, and 2216. Any discussion on this? How come this is not? Okay. It's your privilege, I mean. Okay, so we're going to, we suspended the rules, so we're going to tell you what. We're going to take a roll call vote on, this is general ordinance number 20-16. If you could please use the board on this. Okay, and that passes on a vote 7-5. We are now on to zoning ordinance 21-16. And if again, you could please use the board.
There we go.
And that passes on a vote of 10-2. And finally, zoning ordinance number 2216. Again, if you'd please use the board here. And that passes on a unanimous vote, and thank you. All right, clerk.
We're on to referral of petitions and communications. On page 1 of your packet, you have all petitions and communications received by the clerk's office by noon on Thursday. We will now accept any late communications you may have.
All right, we'll begin with Alderman Andy Nicholson.
Thank you, Mayor. Requesting the legal department to review as well to have a written opinion of all the request stadium excess tax expenditures if they are within the parameters of the state law, which only include economic development, debt relief, and property tax relief.
Thank you.
Can that go to improvement services?
Do you want it to law?
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Oh. Okay, Alderman Tom Slotnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is for improvement in services to discuss with possible action creation of an ordinance limiting the height of property line hedges to the same height as property line fences.
All right. Thank you. Alderman Nicholson, can you use? Alderman Guy Zima.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have two communications. One, I want to refer to the Public Works Department. I'm requesting that the right-of-way on the west side of North Norwood Avenue between Dousman and Hubbard be declared surplus property to be offered to the adjoining property owners. And my second one would be, I guess, I want to just send it to the President and Vice President of the Common Council or wherever you thought was appropriate. I'm requesting that the invocations starting our council meetings be alternated by council districts so that all council members participate in this important function.
All right, thank you. Alderman Slotnick, did you have anything else? Okay. Chris, do you have any late communications?
No, I do not.
All right, with that, then I'll entertain a motion to refer all late petitions and communications by Alderman Nicholson, second by Alderman Slotnick. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it, and all petitions and communications have been referred to the proper authorities.
Reports for council action, report of the Park Committee.
All right, there's a motion by Alderman Tom Dwayne, second by Alderman Mark Stoyer, to approve the report of the Park Committee for the meeting held on Wednesday, October 12th. Are there any items on this report you wish to handle separately? Seeing no lights, all in favor of that report, please signify by saying aye. And those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and that report has been approved.
Report of the Economic Development Authority.
All right, there's a motion by Alderman Tom Dwayne, seconded by Alderman Chris Weary, to approve the report of the Green Bay Economic Development Authority meeting, which took place on Wednesday, October 12th. Are there any items in this report you wish to handle separately? Seeing no lights, all in favor of that report, please signify by saying aye. And those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and that report's been approved.
Report of the Redevelopment Authority.
Entertain a motion. There's a motion by Alderman Joe Moore, seconded by Alderman Randy Scannell, to approve the report of the Green Bay Redevelopment Authority meeting, which took place on Tuesday, October 11th. Any items under this report you wish to handle separately? Okay. Alderman Moore has pulled items 5, 6, and 7. Okay, hearing none others, all in favor of the remainder of that report, please signify by saying aye. And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it. That report has been approved with the exception of item 5, 6, and 7. What are your wishes regarding, do you want to, we can take these together under that if you want. Okay, I'm sorry. Hang on. All right. Alderman Moore, you pulled these three items, and
Right.
there's not a motion, so,
Well, I'd like to take all three of these items together and go into closed session to discuss the term sheets before we have discussion.
all right, so there's a motion by Alderman Joe Moore, seconded by Alderman Tom Dwayne, to take these three items collectively and move into closed session. There's a motion and a second on that, and we're going to use the board. We need to read why we're going to closed session. Alderman Zima, do you want to say something? Or Tom DeWayne, I'm sorry. No.
Okay, then I'll go back. I didn't see it on.
It's not. Is Alderman Zima's light on?
No,
No.
no, it is.
It is. Alderman Zima.
Time is a trick.
Charm.
Thank you, Your Honor. Do we want to hear from the public before we go into closed session?
Alderman Zima, it's your meeting. I have one request for someone who wanted to speak on one of the items, and I was going to address that, but if you think it's appropriate now?
I don't know. I mean, we're going to be discussing things there. I would imagine if there's input from the public, we want to take that into consideration.
All right, then
So
why
I'd make
don't
a
you?
motion to suspend the rules to hear from interested parties on anything on 5, 6, or 7.
Does that? All right, so there's a motion by Alderman Zima, and now seconded by Alderman Barb Dorf. Alderman Moore?
Yes, Your Honor. The reason I wanted to take 5, 6, and 7 and go to closed session right away is we can get the stuff that can't be public comment out of the way, take them all at once, rather than having to take each item individually, go into closed session 3 separate times, unless we wanted to open the floor for a commentary on all 3 items at once. So that was my only concern.
Okay, right. I would prefer we take all 3 of these together. I don't think it looks good to go into closed session, and we put specifically on the agenda that we could take these collectively. You made the
Right.
motion that we take these collectively. Alderman DeWayne seconded that. Now, Alderman Zima just asked that we open the floor to take comments on all 3 of these items prior to going into closed session, and that was seconded by Alderman Dorf. So you okay, Alderperson Dorf, you okay if we vote on that? All right, so that's, yep,
It's going into closed session collectively for all 3, but it doesn't
Yeah.
mean we're handling them all together as one vote when we come out.
that is true.
Okay.
So we have a motion by Alderman Zima, seconded by Alderperson Barb Dorf to suspend the rules to hear from the public and open the floor. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. And those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. So those of you who are here, we are discussing the report of the Green Bay Redevelopment Authority. The specific items we're talking about are items 5, 6, and 7. I don't know if you picked up an agenda, but the item 5 is to approve a term sheet with Lexington Realty International, and that's for the Easttown Mall redevelopment on 2350 East Mason Street. We had discussed that once before here at council, and it's been referred back. So that's one item. You can speak to any one of these. The second item that we're discussing that's open to the public is a term sheet with Lears and Company for the Cub Food site, and that's on 2280 East Mason Street. It's a different project, and we're discussing that. That's open to the public. And the third item that we wish you to offer input on is to approve the term sheet with Broadway Events LLC. That is the outdoor events center at 100 West Mason Street, which is kind of referred to as the Greenfield site. So if there's anyone from the public that would like to speak to any one of these items, if you just step up to the podium and if you'd state your name and address. I do want to recognize Dean Elsing. About the South Pearl Street area development. If you want to speak first, sir, and then anybody can queue up behind him and offer your comments.
Good evening. My name is Dean Esline, and I own property at 345 South Pearl Street, which is just north of the boat slip, on the north side of the boat slip where this baseball stadium is supposed to be built on the south side of it. We've been there since 1953. We employ about 20 people. We've had a great relationship with the city, but I am sadly disappointed that nobody from the city has contacted me as the owner of the property or the company, which I also own, that's there. It's called Ultra Plating Corporation. We found out, or I found out about this through the newspaper. It's not like it's a busy neighborhood, ladies and gentlemen. We're the only entity for 2 blocks north of Mason Street. I have some questions. Let me state that I'm neither for nor against this. But I can see some issues that make it more difficult. The railroad's probably the biggest one. I don't know how the city's gonna deal with the railroad. They haven't been able to do it since I've been there for about 60 years. Whatever the railroad wants, the railroad gets. Whatever it does, it does. And now, unless there's something going on, if the city has a deal with the railroad, I'd like to know what that is. 100 West Mason Street is not going to be an entrance to this venue. That, I think, is about 20 feet off the ground on the top of a bridge, isn't it? Or on the way up to the Mason Street Bridge. So somehow or another, all of these vehicles are going to have to, and people are going to have to get around from South Broadway, cross those tracks, and there are no crossings. Arch Street is there. There's one street to the north of that, then there's nothing till Mason Street. And the street to the north of Arch Street is abandoned. It just doesn't seem like, for a high usage, public, high traffic thing, event, that this would be workable. We have trucks coming and going all day long. Oftentimes, they sit for 40 minutes because the train breaks south of the bridge, of the Walnut Street Bridge. So half of it can go north of the Main Street Bridge, and the traffic can go for a while, and then it'll back up and rehook onto it, but it plugs up the stuff to the south. If you have an event center like this, you're gonna have a lot of youth. Youth have a tough time remembering where to walk, where to cross railroad tracks. To me, it's a safety headache. And as I stated earlier, I'm not for or against it. But how is it going to affect our company and our employees? And last Sunday's paper had an editorial comment reiterating or coming up with apartments on the north side of that slip with the pipe dream of making downtown vibrant, which is great. I'm all in favor of that. But we're a metal finishing concern. We're heavy industry. And I don't know how that fits in that environment. I'm not against it, not at all. But I would like to be on record saying we are not going to subsidize the city of Green Bay's wishes for a party area at our expense. So please keep those things in mind. All of this stuff sounds nice. You know, it really does. But that's up to you to make it work.
Right.
But let's try to be a little better neighbor to us. Do you mind sharing with us, Mayor, what's happening over there? So we can kind of plan too? Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dean. Anyone else wishing to speak to any of these items? Mr. Johnson, stand up behind. That's fine. You can queue up behind him so we can keep moving.
Go ahead, Marcelo. You're more of an expert than I am. I didn't know about that. It's Marcelo Cruz, and I'm one of the founding members of the Design Committee on Broadway. Been working on Broadway now for 22 years, and I appreciate the previous speaker who talked about all those challenges. Well, Broadway back in 1984 was a challenge. And so I think it's a great opportunity for us to look at those anchors. And that southern anchor is something that on Broadway we've been trying to figure out a way in which it could be a regional draw, That's part of our neighborhood plan for the district. And it's one that we have a golden opportunity because of the particular situations of which the stadium will be built, in which the city has a direct stakeholder position. We have an opportunity to design in something that will deal with those challenges that was mentioned to you just before as a design problem that can be worked out. One of the wonderful things about that slip is that it has a beautiful view of the city of Green Bay. I don't know if people have walked down there in the evening, but it has a beautiful skyline of the churches, of the courthouse that's all lit up. It's one that brings identity to the community. And what a great draw that is to bring a baseball field in which the people will be looking outward toward the river and looking at that beautiful skyline. It's a great opportunity in which we can design in the problems because of the particular type of situation that the city is involved in this project. And so it's a direct stake. It's a direct stake for us. It's a direct stake for On Broadway. So I want you to hold heed on that when you make your decision. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Brian Johnson, 830 South Irwin Avenue, Executive Director of On Broadway Incorporated. As many of you know, is the downtown BID district, Business Improvement District, for that area. And this is a space that falls right on the southern edge of our district, so it will reside within our district if the property development goes forward. Couple of things that we wanted to relay to the council. First and foremost, this was shared at RDA, but our board of directors did take a vote on this and has unanimously supported this development for a variety of reasons. One of which Marcelo alluded to earlier, which is for a successful corridor, you need anchors. And we are a retail district in the heart of where we are. And what we're lacking right now is that southernmost anchor. In the northern end of the district, there is obviously a lot of development going on the Larson Green site, but that southern edge is what we really need. And when you look back at a time prior to Mason Street, that kind of had that vibrancy down there, from what I've been told. That was before I came to Green Bay, but we're looking at an opportunity here to kind of reinstall that vibrancy that existed down on the end of the district. And then the other part of it that's really important to us is the residential component. And I know Alderman Zima, this is an issue that you've raised and we fully support as well. And there are things that we do as a district, Love Here, Live Here, that really look to address what we're doing from a resident's perspective. The people who live in our district are the ones that are patronizing the businesses in our district. And we really want to see our businesses succeed, and to do that, we have to support and prop up our neighbors. And so that's one of the things that as a board we are more than happy to discuss, is an extension of that campaign that would go outside of the borders of the Broadway district to really help support this development. As we look at this particular piece of property, one of the things that we've observed is that the city has owned this land, the RDA has owned this land for approximately 30 years, and most of that time is really nothing's been done with that site. And so we challenge yourself to ask yourself, is there a better offer, or has there been a better one that's come before the council in the last 30 years? And certainly one of the things as an organization that we don't want to see is for this site to remain vacant again for another 30 years while we wait for a better offer to come forward. We've had great experience working with Big Top Baseball, and Vern and Connor have been very good about answering our questions and interacting with the businesses in our district, and we appreciate that. You know, and one thing as we're looking at this, that seems to be one of those conversations that as I talk with people who are initially uncertain about this development, we talk a lot of times about subsidizing private investment in our community. This is an example of something that is the exact opposite. After interest paid on bonding for this, we are looking at about an $11 million development. $5.5 million of this is being subsidized by private industry. We have the private sector who is paying for a publicly owned amenity. And that is a key distinction compared to other things that have happened. Now, you can make the argument, of course, that this wasn't part of the city's plan, and so that is money out of pocket for the city. And I think that I would ask, I know a lot of our Broadway businesses are here today, if I could ask those individuals that are here today to support this development so that you all don't have to come up and speak, if you could please just stand up real quickly. These are all people here today that are physically showing their presence, that are saying, we want a new plan. We appreciate that the city had a plan, but sometimes opportunities present themselves that allow us to do something unique and different and fresh. And the Broadway District believes that this brings that very thing. And we're here to say that we support this proposal, and at the end of the day, it is a term sheet. So we understand that the term sheet is the foundation for a strong development agreement, and we look forward to what can come from that discussion, but we ask you to approve the term sheet today so that that discussion can continue, and that we can see some new development here that will spur further development. It will be the catalyst for further development for housing, for commercial, all along that Broadway district. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Johnson. And thank you all for being here. You are more than welcome to speak if you would like. It's okay if you don't, but anyone is welcome to come and address the council for a couple, 3 minutes. Hi.
Hi, Joshua Schwalbe, 1216 Cherry Street. I'll keep it short and sweet because that's a really hard speech to follow up. I agree with everything that Marcelo and Brian have to say about it. I think it's a great development, and again, this has been a property that's been just a grass field for a while, and the Vista view, if you have taken a look, is fantastic. So this is a good development that a lot of people can share, and we can reserve for some of the best real estate on the river. One thing that I would ask is, as this progresses, just keep in mind that there are neighborhoods that we can connect if we make it viable with inviting sidewalks and other infrastructure. We may be able to make a little less on-street parking for Broadway. So if you can keep in mind, just make it very inviting to invite the neighborhood in as well as the local businesses. That would be my input, but thank you very much. I support it.
Thank you.
Hi, Sue Robinson, 821 South Broadway. I've been a property owner on Broadway now for about 26 years. I'm one of the oldies down there. I, of course, totally support this project. We've watched Washington and the downtown area grow, the north end of Broadway grow, and I think it only makes sense to progress this expansion of the betterment of Green Bay and come down further. I know we have a lot of money we're spending on task force and things like this down on the south end of Broadway, trying to better that neighborhood, and I can only think this would be something that would help along those lines. Look around some of the other areas of Brown County, and I see how they are flourishing and they're beautiful. And then you drive into Green Bay and maybe we're not up to their speed yet. And I think this would go a long way to get us into competition with our surrounding neighbors in the Brown County area. And I really hope that we can find a way to make this work. And I guess I wish that it wouldn't go into closed session. I feel like we have been left out of a lot of the talks of what's going on with this program. And if we could not close for this, I would really be happy that we could hear everything that's being discussed so we could be part of what's going on in our neighborhood.
Thank you.
I'm Barbara Koldos, 3550 Meadow Way.
And Kasia Huntowski, 1219 Law Street.
And we are chair and vice chair of the Young Professional Advisory Council, which is a committee of the Green Bay Chamber Current Young Professionals, which is 2,000 members strong. And we are here to support this public-private partnership, which we see as a catalyst for development in an underutilized corridor. We believe this will spur economic development, create tax base, as well as a unique entertainment space to recreate, which will attract, retain, and engage young professionals in the area. And we are asking that you approve the term sheet this evening. And I'm going to ask for the young professionals who are here in support of this to stand up as well, as you did for Brian.
Well,
Thank you so very much.
anyone else? Go ahead.
Hello, Vern Stenman with Big Top Baseball to talk a little bit generally about the project. And I think one interesting misconception about this project is that this is a Bullfrogs stadium. I'm not here to talk about a Green Bay Bullfrog Stadium. Sure, Green Bay Bullfrogs will be an element of this package, and this would be a spectacular home field. We're here to talk about economic development. We're here to talk about utilizing one of the more beautiful sites you can imagine to turn into an entertainment district that we've been calling the Shipyard, that we see as something that, a stadium that hosts multiple events, from baseball to minor league soccer to Green Bay West high school athletics to rugby we were talking about tonight, to outdoor concerts, indoor concerts, a restaurant. All of these things are coming together, 175 to 200 events a year in the outdoor part of the event center alone. Not to mention the partnership that we've been working with the city on with Mark Scogan to develop a 2,000-person indoor concert venue that would be used year-round, primarily being used in the time when the summer events aren't at their peak. Basically from September through May is going to be the peak season of the indoor concert venue that's going to fill a unique void in the community. There's not a venue exactly like this, and Mark Scogan has been looking at it for over a year, trying to figure out the best site to go. He feels strongly that this is the best place to fill that void that he sees in the market, to bring this indoor concert venue to Green Bay. And obviously Anduzzi's is a huge part of this as well. It's a spectacular, family-owned restaurant and bar that is going to continue to kind of build on the synergy of the family-friendly, the affordable family-friendly atmosphere that we want to create with the Green Bay Bullfrogs, but we want to take beyond that and make it something that catalyzes development that's interesting and continues to make the city of Green Bay an even more and more interesting place to be. There's not a better place to be in the summertime and you're really year-round than downtown Green Bay already. This can make it even more interesting, and we're very excited to be a part of the project. We understand there's challenges. We're not here tonight to necessarily fix every little bump in the road. There's some bumps in the road that we have to address. Railroad crossings is a very valid one. We've got a plan that we want to flesh out. Hopefully after we get the approval of the council tonight, that will allow us to go in to work with city staff to put together an agreement from a development perspective and from a lease and operating perspective that answers those questions thoroughly, and then bring that back to the council and get your approval at that time. This is not the last time you're going to see me, for better or for worse. I'm not sure if that's good news or not, but this is not meant to be the end all. This is meant to, put a signal to city staff, put a signal to, Mark Scogan and Doozies and all the different people that want to come on and develop this as a interesting economic development site, to continue those conversations, put agreements together, and then give the council the opportunity to approve those or not as we come down the road. And so I think it's important to understand that we're going to address those challenges. We've got really solid plans. We've got a spectacular history of operating facilities just like this around the entire state of Wisconsin. We feel very confident in our ability to address issues from parking to railroad to noise and neighbors and all these things, and we've done it. We can talk to you about how we've done it and show you the examples, and look forward to sharing that final plan for what we really see as a truly versatile facility that can accomplish a lot of different things that are all interesting and make Green Bay, like I said, hopefully a little bit more interesting place to live, and we're really proud to be a part of the project. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that speak on any of these three items? Hi.
I felt underdressed until I saw Randy over there.
Never worry about that.
Love the tie-dye, man. I'm Elliot. I'm at 1988 Mulberry Lane now, and I am super in favor of having a stadium, but I think we have to slow it down a little bit. Baseball stadiums are super cool. My dad's license plate is First Fan. He's got a Brewers fan license plate, and the thing is, though, baseball is played in the summertime, and this is one of those outdoor amenities that's at best going to be used 20% of the year, straight up. We also have places that are going to have, I don't think all the concert venues are full all the time. And as far as bringing outside people in, I don't know how many of you guys go to Timber Rattlers games on a regular basis, but, I've gone to some. I've gone to Bullfrogs games. It's fun, but I don't see a lot of people coming from out of town to go see these things. So from a public money investment sense, I just feel like that's sort of a mistake. Anduzzi's is great. The private investment is great. I wish they would pay more of it. Maybe they will. I know this is just the beginning, right? And so I did a little map search thing, and the Broadway Anduzzi's to be is about the same distance to the Ashwaubenon Anduzzi's as and the Broadway Anduzzi's would be to Titletown. And the reason that I bring that up is nobody's going to walk that whole district. They're just not. They might in summer on Wednesdays, right? But the rest of the time, that's not a very good area. There's the perception of crime, if not the reality there. And I don't think this is going to change drastically just because we build a stadium. And so then you think, well, then people are going to drive. Well, we have parking concerns then. But we also have another Anduzzi's down the street. So if people are going on non-baseball nights, they're going to go to probably the Ashwaubenon Anduzzi's anyway. So, but that's their problem as a business. But we're putting tax dollars at risk for the overall development. So I would hate to see kind of a quagmire situation. And then the one last thing, I stand alone usually, so I don't have a bunch of fans to stand up for me. I'm used to that. But I don't feel like it's going to be a catalyst. There's nothing in between. There's nothing on either side of it. There's some residential, which is great. I think it should be private investment, though. I think that's really the key thing there. And finally, I appreciate that there weren't any other offers for that property. A couple of years ago, though, we were in the same situation with Walmart, where Walmart was the only offer on the table. And that did not go through. We don't have a Walmart. So I kind of think we should maybe wait to see if there's other offers, to see if there's any other things we can do with that. So my fans do not have to stand up for me.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak to any of these three items tonight? Anyone else? Anyone else? With that, I'll entertain a motion to return to regular order. All right, but Alderman Tom DeWayne, second by Alderman Randy Scannell. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it. So we have a. Yeah. Are you okay?
Make a comment, Your
All
Honor.
right.
Comment of one of the speakers was especially drove home a point to me, is that, I think it was Ms. Robinson, said she wished the discussion would be public. They'd like to know what people's thoughts are. I agree 100% with that. And oftentimes you go into closed session because there's sensitive financial formulas, et cetera, of the people who are doing the investments. I feel that we should go in to just learn those things and those things only, not get into discussions in there, as we often do, and that we come out here with the discussions. Now, sometimes it's hard to separate the two.
Okay.
But things are not vetted enough in the community. The modus operandi of your administration, Your Honor, quite frankly, is that you kind of keep it close to the chest. You run it through a committee, and 1 week or less it comes to the council. The public doesn't get a chance to have eyes on these things, to give input. These things should go more slowly. I myself would like to see a development in that area, but I want to see it become very beneficial to the area, not just beneficial to a few people. So I do not like the idea of pressure. There's no pressure on us to do at least one of these projects in the next week or 2 or 3, but this needs to be vetted in the public. And it's after people see things in the newspaper that they start calling and talking to people who have knowledge, that give points of view, help us make better decisions. So I, for one, hope we limit our discussion to strictly those things that need to be confidential for the time being, and the rest that we discuss out here. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, Alderman Moore.
Yeah, Your Honor, I mean, nobody spoke on East Town or Cub Foods, and I don't know exactly how much of item number 7 really needs to be in closed session. So many of the numbers are already out there. I think we could take that discussion if the council would so choose to take item 7 right away here in open session. maybe we can come to a decision on this, and if the conversation starts gearing towards some confidential information, then we can go into closed session at that time. I would make a motion that we take item number 7 and rescind my motion to go into closed session.
I think you seconded that. All right, why don't you take 5 and 6? So Alderman Moore wants to rescind his motion for closed session. Alderman Zimmy, you want to comment on that?
I'm just not quite understanding it. Number 7, he doesn't want to go into closed session on number 7?
No. That's what he said. He said if the,
But we don't have the numbers there.
okay,
I wasn't sure what numbers anybody else is still.
Right.
I think it's important that we go into closed session to discuss, some people have questions on part of the term sheets and stuff like that, and there's opportunity to maybe that, there's one person or another entity might want to add something to, that might change somebody's mind or whatever. I think we should still go in closed session.
well, somebody's going to make a motion, because there's, on the floor right now, we can take all 3 of these items together. That was the motion on the floor. We open it up to the public. You got the comments. So what do you want to do
I
right
think
now?
we should still do that, take 5, 6, and 7, go into closed session, and do it as Alderman Zima said, discuss the term sheets, and then bring it back out, and we can discuss each one individually.
So that's your motion. Is there a second on that? No, he just rescinded it. Yes, he did. He made the motion to go into closed session, and then he rescinded the motion. Why would, of course we didn't vote on it. There's no motion. Now he's making a motion. Yes, I said, do you agree? And he said yes. I think Stoyer seconded that. Okay, so now Alderman Tom Dwayne, you made a motion to go into closed session, and did I hear a second? Second. Okay, and that was seconded by Alderman Tom Slotnick. We are going to use the board and vote on that. This is to move into closed session for items 5, 6, and 7. Okay, so there's 11, so we're going to be moving into closed session, and look, we don't like this any more than you do, but there are some terms and there's some negotiating. We will read the reason why we're going to closed session. We're going to go into my chambers, and we'll be out here as soon as we can. Alderman Moore, if you could just read that for the record.
With regard to items number 5, number 6, and number 7, the council may convene in closed session pursuant to section 19.85 sub 1 sub E of Wisconsin statutes for purposes of deliberating or negotiating the sale of public properties. All 3 items are for that same purpose.
Right.
The investing of public funds or conducting other specified public business as necessary for competitive or bargaining reasons. The council may thereafter reconvene in open session pursuant to section 19.85 sub 2 of the Wisconsin statutes to report the results of the closed session and consider the balance of the agenda.
Awesome. So we voted, we are in closed Yeah. You don't think so? You don't think it can go 6-6? You don't think it gets 6? Are you sure, Tom? I think it gets 6. Oh, it's in 6. All right, let's make a motion to return to regular. Well, we're gonna, all right, all in favor signify by saying aye. And those ways, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We got a quorum here. Okay. Yeah. Took longer than we thought. We moved into closed session to discuss items 5, 6, and 7. We had a lot of discussion, so I'll take these separately on how you want to proceed. All right, we have a motion by Alderman Nenning, and that was seconded by Alderman Tom DeWayne, to approve item 5, which is the term sheet for East Town Mall. Discussion here? Alderman Joe Moore?
Thanks, Your Honor. There were, I believe, 2 amendments that we wanted to make on that term sheet. One was to eliminate Section D, which was regarding the projected assessed value of the property. And I'm checking my notes to see what the second
Just wait,
was.
I gotta, I know.
Okay.
Tell me what page is that on? That's on,
That would be on page 4A, first page of the term sheet.
and you're striking,
Striking paragraph D,
Okay.
Which is in regards to the projected 2017 assessed value.
Got it.
Something we can't comment on at this time. And then the other item I wanted to amend is to add language, which is contingent on securing a lease with the Brown County Library.
so we have
Those are my
these
motions.
all right, by Alderman Joe Moore, and that was seconded by Alderman Slotnick. And again, we're just discussing his motion now, and then we're gonna go back to the whole term sheet, but we'll take his motion together. One was to strike item D. The other was to add that this term sheet is contingent upon an approved lease by the Brown County Library. Anyone want to discuss the amendment? Alderman Zima, the amendment?
Not on the amendment, Your Honor.
Okay, I'll get back to you then. So with that, I'm just going to go on a voice vote. There's a motion and a second regarding the 2 amendments offered by Alderman Moore, seconded by Alderman Slotnick. All in favor of those amendments, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nay. All right, the ayes have it. I will eventually look for a motion to adopt as amended, but Alderman Zima, I want to go to you first.
Well, I think you should get your motion.
Pardon me?
Well, my motion, Your Honor, would be to refer this back. And I'll tell you, I just, if you'll bear with me on my litany. When I look at the overall project, here we have a property that's assessed at $11 million plus. It went before the Board of Review just a short 6, 7, 8 months ago, and our assessor did not drop it 1 penny based on comparables, et cetera, that he had, that we would want to try to reduce this just so we could create an artificial increment, I think is beyond respect to the community. So I supported that amendment, that he's striking that. Now, I tell you, anything much less than 11 million, I find beyond the pall. Now, when I was at the Redevelopment Authority, we discussed a lot of things in closed session, a lot of the things that can be said here in public. When I asked what the size of the mall was, the footprint of the mall, not including the land, just the mall itself, it was 198,000 square feet. The part that's empty right now is about 54,000 square feet, so roughly about a quarter,
Fine, guys.
roughly a quarter of the Easttown Mall is vacant. And part of that reason is because the mall isn't attached to the anchors. The anchors closed it some years ago. And I think there's been a certain amount of benign neglect, and I think there's been enough revenue coming in from the existing sources for them to pay their taxes, make a profit. At this point in time, for whatever reason, they're done depreciating it. They want to send it out. Well, I asked our director what it would cost to build a mall of that quality. And he said, well, it depends on what you put into it, but it was somewhere between $150 a square foot and $300 a square foot. We'll just take the lower end. At $150 a square foot times a couple 100,000 square feet, you're talking in the neighborhood of $30 million. That's what it costs to build that new at a bare minimum. That doesn't include the value of the land. So these folks are coming in with an offer to purchase it for $3.8 million, and for whatever reason, the owners are willing to let it go for that. They also claim to want to put $8 million into the mall to basically end the mall concept and put a kind of a big strip mall with major stores all going in the front door. Okay, that's a total of something under $12 million that they're investing. They're asking for $3 million in all, $2 million up front, and another $1 million on the end, practically their purchase price. They're getting this at a tremendous bargain as it is. And is this going to be the standard by which we're going to offer help to anybody who has an empty building? There's another one coming up here in just a few moments. It's way too much of a subsidy for what they're getting there. Now, if there was something that we could look at and say, okay, maybe we could help with the demolition of the inside to have a new surface available. I think that's something that maybe I could at least hang my hat on or put my teeth into. But it certainly isn't $3 million. And I think this is not a standard we should be setting for the city of Green Bay. I think all of us would like to see the mall better utilized and folks come in there, but these people are asking for a lot of money. If they need that much, well, I guess if I was the owners, if I thought the city would give it to me, I'd go along with it too. But I think it's an excellent buy without any subsidy at all. But I feel it should be sent back. I think we should look at what would the demolition cost inside and so that they could go and build it out. And that might be something more appropriate. So my motion is to refer this back to review it. I think it's way too big a subsidy. I could never vote for it as it is. Thank you.
You're at 4 minutes, 38 seconds, so sure.
When you look at it from the outside, they're asking for more than 25% of the project to be paid for by the city, and they're asking that the county provide a couple $100,000 worth, and when we look at it with the build-out costs and everything else, it's probably more than $250,000, which is about 14% of their revenue. They want us to guarantee them 25% of their investment. They're not going to give us 25% of the rents. They also want us to guarantee between 10 and 15% of their revenue through a government source. It's a lot to ask for. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Moore?
Thanks, Your Honor. Last time this came to the council, I supported referring this back to get some more.
I want to be careful on the referral. Was there a second on referral? Okay, so I think we're.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's what we're
Now I can
discussing
speak
now.
on
I'm sorry.
referral.
Go ahead.
All right, I'm against referral this time around. I got the answers that I needed, and yes, there was an appeal earlier this year by the current owners to reduce the assessment, but they came to the Joint Review Board without a case. They just came and said, we think it should be lower, and when they said why, they were like, well, because, but had no supporting documentation. They really had no reasoning, so that's why it was denied at that time. I mean, now, I think we can all agree, this has been very public, and the number 3.8 million was thrown around a month ago, or a few weeks ago, that this assessment's going to get reduced, whether there's a new project there or not. So we're going to see a reduction in tax revenue because of a reduced assessment. If I'm the current owner of that property, I'm just waiting to hear it, and if the new owner buys it, you know, they're going to come and do the same thing. We're going to see a reduction on this assessment. So if we support the project, what we're getting is a new development. We're getting payback of the debt service at 110%. We're getting a new product that's up to a $15 million assessed value. We're getting destination-type stores where people will be coming to the community to go specifically to these places, drawing a lot more people to the area. All the risk is on the developer because he needs us to expand the TIF, which may or may not happen. He needs the library lease, which may or may not happen. And they need an agreement on a development agreement, which if we don't come to an agreement, he has them all. If we oppose supporting this project as it's presented in this term sheet tonight, we oppose it, we get the East Town Mall as it sits at a reduced assessment. I mean, I don't know. I don't know I have to make any more of a case than that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Alderman Vanderleest, the motion on the floor is to refer this item back.
My thoughts are that this is a huge subsidy. If they gave them 10% of what they're asking for, 300,000, that would be plenty. And I feel that there's no hardship here. Regardless if they reduce the assessment, that falls in their benefit. City's going to lose on that end anyway if they reduce the assessment. Right now, it's like what, 11.9 million? 11.2. Okay, so you know they're winning either way we cut it. To hand them $3 million, these business people, they know what they're doing. I mean, they're not going to jump into this project. If they get city assistance or not, this project will go forward. If they're going to buy it for 3.8 million, I'd bet that it moves right ahead. That would be my estimation.
Right.
And they're sharp business people, and I feel that the city has to be sharp as well. We just can't, you know, we got a lot of debt in the city of Green Bay. There's $100 million worth of debt in Green Bay, and we got a lot of things coming up that we have to handle internally. Sewer systems, police fixing the building, fire department, Department of Public Works. It's huge. So myself, I couldn't see this kind of subsidy.
Right.
Not to a private business. Private business is private business. Remember that. You know, we're here to help. We're here to encourage. The redevelopment authority should be willing to, you know, give them advice. You know, give them some advice. You know, help them out with the permits and things like this. You know, give them good direction, but we can't hand them these big amounts of money. It's hurting. It'll hurt the city overall. Period. That's my comment on it.
All right, thank you, Alderman. Alderman Randy Scannell?
Thank you, Your Honor.
It's on the referral, right?
It's on the referral. Yeah, I'm against referral back. The project is a big project, and big projects generally are going to require some city assistance. That's just the way it is. They're going to be complex, and we're going to have to, you know, they may not happen. We'll have to see how the development agreement falls into place. It may or may not, but we certainly should be given it the opportunity to do so. I remember often hearing from many alders that, you know, we're all building up downtown. Nothing's happened elsewhere. Well, this is a big project for the Far East Side. And I would just ask my fellow alders, you know, just what is your vision for Green Bay? For me, I'm dreaming big. We may not get there, but I'd rather dream big and fall short than to cut it off at the knees. I think this is a project that deserves a chance to happen, and it'll be a major impact in that area. As I won't go into it all, as it's already been covered, but I think it's just something that it deserves this chance to get going. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Alderperson Dorf?
Yes, I would be opposed to referring it back. We've referred it back once already. I've attended all of those RDA meetings. I do represent District 1, which is on the Far East Side. This isn't quite in my district, but I would like to see some development go forward on the Far East Side, so I would be opposed to referring it back.
All right, thank you. Let's use the board on this. This is on referral. There's a motion, a second on the floor to refer this item back to the Planning RDA, Redevelopment Authority. Alderman Nicholson, a yes vote, okay. So that fails on a vote of 8-4. All right, so there is a motion by Alderperson Dorf, second by Alderman Bill Galvin, to approve the term sheet as amended. Discussion here? Alderman Weary?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to point out that if the term sheet is approved, it does not mean the city council endorses moving the library to that location. I didn't want that to come out from this at all. It just hinges on that, but
Yes,
we're not
sir.
endorsing it. Okay. I think we can do a better deal, so I'm going to vote no. Thanks.
Okay. Well, let's use the board on Alderman. Okay. Alderman Zima?
Well, this is just a term sheet, of course, but this shows what your intent is. I don't know, I'd entertain some motions from somebody. Does nobody besides myself and a couple people that voted with this think that this subsidy is too high? I mean, it's a tremendous subsidy. It's 25% of the project, and depending on a very lucrative lease from the county. And I'll tell you, I sit on the county board, and there's 3 or 4 of us here that do that. At one time, we had the entire city council sat on the county board, and we used to work together, and even enemies here at the city were very often together over at the county. But I can tell you, the existing library over there, a lot of folks felt we were paying too much for the space there. We pay $80,000 a year for the Easttown branch library. And, you know, it can be purchased for $800,000. That's like 2.5, 3 years of what the lease would be. I just can't see this happening. But, I mean, this is a giveaway of the first order. It's a giveaway of the first order to even encourage this. I really feel that I don't know where our leadership of our city, what they want, what kind of precedent they want to set for everybody else who is going to come and have their hand out. Are we going to open up TIF districts for everybody that has an empty building and offer them 25% and guarantee 13% of their income? I don't think so. So I think long and hard about it. I referred it back because I felt there was asked to refer it back because I felt there was some in between. We could say that maybe the demolition of the inside was a hardship. But this here, I don't know how you could put your name behind this. It's way too big a subsidy. No way I could support it.
Thank you. Alderman Tom DeWayne?
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. This is right across my district. Right across the street. It's on Alderman Nicholson's. I talked to a lot of people about this and a lot of the, neighborhood association. A lot of the comments I got were, they want to see something done. In fact, some of the comments said they didn't want to see the mall change because they liked the fact that they could walk inside. They didn't like the outside going in. I for one, want to see this project to happen. But a lot of the talk is why, because they saw what the price was and all that, and they thought the city was giving too much money. So I think when we sent this back, I don't think there's really any conversation with the group about whether or not they go through with the project with less money. And so with that, at this point, I'm going to vote no for that reason. But I want to see this project, but I really think we should go back to them and really look at what needs to be done in that building and maybe help them with the infrastructure and that sort. So, I mean, I really want to see this to happen, but if we keep giving all these people this kind of money, we're really going to put ourselves in dilemma with everybody that comes forward. So
Right.
I think it's a good project. I wanted to see it happen, but I think we're tipping we're just going over for what we should be doing. I think it's too high of a price. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. If you'd please use the board on this, this is a motion and a second to adopt the term sheet as amended. And that 5 to 7. So no, it's 5 yes, 7 no. So that motion fails. I don't- What? Yeah. Okay, let's just move on to the next one. Let's go to item 6. Well, we motioned to refer it back, and that failed. So we had a motion to adopt, and that failed. That is true.
We need some legal advice here.
Oh. All right. So you want to reconsider the referral vote?
What we actually have to do is reconsider this vote, because this is the dispositive one, and then you can change your motion to referral at that point, but this one disposes of it. So somebody who voted. We have to actually deal with the motion to approve right now, so somebody who voted against it is the only one who can move for reconsideration. And then you can refer it back at that point, but this is the motion that disposed of it, so this is the motion that has to be reconsidered.
What? Oh. Right, this motion failed on a vote of 7 to 5. I still have the board up. Hang on. She's printing it right now. Don't see any lights. No, it's not on. Anybody?
Can I make a motion
Yep.
to have staff renegotiate the term sheet?
Is that appropriate?
Motion. Second.
Relax. Does you want him to put a communication in later, or do you want to? Then we're moving on. That motion failed, and if you want to put a communication in to have staff go back and talk to them, but that motion failed. Okay.
You could recognize we have to end of the.
At the end of the meeting. And Andy's doing it. What are your wishes regarding item 6? There's a motion to approve by Alderman Joe Moore, second by Alderman Dave Nenning. All right, let's use the board. No, we are on item 6. We took items 5, 6, and 7. We just voted down item 5. We're on item 6. And Alderman Zima wants to speak to that.
Yeah, not all of us just want to jam things through.
What was that?
Well, Your Honor, I tell you.
Just go ahead.
I said
We're
something-
on item 6.
I said something earlier, I think it's important. Projects shouldn't go to basically an empty building that doesn't need any demolition that I'm aware of. At least I asked that question, and I thought it bolder and bolder. Would it be if somebody had to build this new, what's the cost of it? Again, they're getting it at a bargain basement price. Is this something that deserves our help? Is this tearing down a bad building or cleaning up soil or doing something that would be in the public's interest? No, it's just out and out subsidy. That's what these have become. In the past, it used to be, what's the hardship? But now it's just been reduced to, but for, quotation, but for. But for this help, we wouldn't do it. Well, anybody can say that and ask for money, and as long as we're the charity organization, I guess that's what it'd be, but are we going to set this standard? Is this what we're gonna hand out to everybody who wants to do something? This is really rich too. So I'd make a motion to send this back, to develop a better.
All right, I got it. All right, so there's a motion by Alderman Zima. Alderman Vallis, you second that? Okay, so this is on referral. Alderman Moore?
Again, Your Honor, I'm against referral, and I just feel so bad for our Economic Development Director, Dr. Vonk here, that an alder of 40 years doesn't understand that negotiations have already taken place. And every one of these accusations that is made against our economic development, it's like a developer comes forward, says, I want money, and he says, okay, and drafts an agreement. We sat in closed session. He told us where the numbers started at and where they ended at. Negotiations took place. I think it's absolutely insulting that we can't get development done in Green Bay because dinosaurs are killing everything.
All right, thank you. Alderman, this is on referral. Alderman Nicholson?
Thank you, Mayor. Kevin, can you just give the gist of this project to the council and to the media, please?
This was on referral. You support referral or not?
No, I do not.
Okay, I think that's what we're talking about. We'll get, if
All right.
it doesn't go, we can do that. So please use the board. This is on referring this item back. What is your question?
Mr. Vonk, the purchase price is 1.7 million, correct?
Okay.
1.8 million. And you've estimated that what they're asking will amount to about 800,000 over the life of it. Is that correct?
Based on they're at an increment.
Well, here's a dinosaur that knows how to do arithmetic.
All right. Okay, let's,
I'm not done, Your Honor, and I don't need your snippy remarks. You're supposed to respect us here. But don't we have a right to our opinions? Don't we each represent an equal number of people in the city of Green Bay? But you think you're superior to everybody.
This is,
Well, the point is that we're giving them half the purchase price, almost half the purchase price. Wow.
I think you forget they're investing 8 million, but, okay, let's use the board. This is on referral. This is to refer item 6. This is the East Town Cub Foods Project. So that failed on a vote of 5-7, so.
This was referral, right?
Yeah. No doesn't refer it back. Right.
Just a minute, I did not want.
Here. All right, I'm sorry. Do you want to do the vote again? Okay, this is to refer this back. A no vote keeps it here. A yes vote refers it back. Did everybody vote properly? Okay, all right, clear the board. The motion is to refer this item back. Huh? A no keeps it here, and a yes refers it back. Okay, are we good? So 3 of you wanted to refer it back, 9 of you want to keep it here. So it is here. And we had a motion second to refer this back. Are we back to the motion to approve, or do you want to have that? Okay, we're back to the motion to approve. Yeah, okay. Alderman Nicholson?
My question was to Kevin Vonk that if he could just give the gist of the project.
Right. Director Vonk, do you want to just go over
the
the
council, please?
right framework of this project?
Sure. The developer wants to take the East Town Cub Foods, which is just adjacent to the East Town Mall, been vacant for quite some time. It's been used for storage. It's about 80,000 square feet. They would like to take about 60,000 square feet and turn it into active retail space, somewhere in the range of 3, maybe as many as 5 particular tenants. Their cost for development, acquiring it for about $1.8 million. Their budget for renovations is about $5.5 million. With that, there's some additional costs in terms of, negotiating the leases and tenant improvements, legal, soft costs. All in, their costs for developing this property are about $9.7 million. With that, like I said, they hope to have 3 to 5 strong national brand retailers who can be in that area and really serve as a draw. Those retailers want to be in this market. From a city perspective, if those retailers want to be in this market, we want to get them in the city proper. In terms of developing costs, because there is some reconstruction and development that goes with it, they did seek city assistance through some negotiations. We ended up looking at a pay-go that would provide them increment on the back end of this. Based on the values where it came in and where it'll go and the increment they create, Alderman Zima is correct that over the term of the TID, this would provide about $800,000 on the backside to them. If they create more increment, they could get more. If they create less increment, they would get less. Part of this would also look at the city expanding TID 10, which is Mason and Main, to make that eligible to be a TID expense. With that, again, we feel at the end of the day, this property conservatively was assessed at $5.5 million, which would be coming on in the tax rolls. That assessment, though, does not include any development of any outlots, so there's good potential. There's plenty of parking space there to put in something in the outlot, a restaurant, a bank, fast food store, something of the like. So with that, we felt comfortable that it would generate, again, the risk is on the developer here, that it's the pay-go, but there's a great upside for the city in terms of the additional increment and tax levy that we'll get.
Nope, thank you. Anything else, Alderman? Nope, I'll get to you.
What is the rest of the city?
That's a pay-go, as he talked about.
So we put no money in upfront on this. The city does not bond, does not provide any project grant to this. They need to create the increment. So if they complete this project next year, it comes online 1/1 of 2018, then taxes are payable in 2019. And so in 2019, they'd be able to receive rebated 70% of their incremental taxes. 75%. The other 25% will go into the TID district for other improvements in that area.
Kevin, you stated it's assessed at $5.5 million right now?
No, it is assessed at 1.8 right now.
1.8 right now.
Yep.
Where did the 5.5 come from? At what year then?
So our assessor's office felt this would probably come in around 5.5 million when all said and done, and that would be, again, online 1/1 of 18. So it's 3.7 million of incremental value.
All right, great. Alderman Tom Dwayne?
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. I look at this project a little differently. You look at what they're going to be doing with the building itself. You often look when you give TIF or you do pay for go, you look at if there's any kind of infrastructure we can help them with. We know the parking lot's got to be completely done. The structure itself is going to have a lot to do. You look at Schreiber Foods, they got money for the facing of the building. When we tore the other part off, this is exactly what they're going to have to do with the front of this building. It's going to cost them well over $800,000 to do some of this stuff. So I think this is a good project for Green Bay in that district, and so I'm going to support it.
Right,
Thank
thanks.
you. It's much easier than the first one.
Alderman Tom Slotnick?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with Alderman Dwayne. I'm going to support this term sheet. And I just want to point out that the developer, in addition to the $1.8 million purchase price, is going to put $5 million of investment and redevelopment funds into it. So when you look at how much TIF assistance they're getting as a percentage of their entire investment, it's less than 15%, and I don't think that's out of line compared to a lot of these we've done. I do agree that it would be nice if we had some firm guidelines that we agreed to on these percentages, but this percentage is not out of line, and I support it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Alderman Weary?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to concur with the previous two speakers, Alderman Dwayne and Alderman Slotnick. I like the pay-go TIF. That's the way to go, I think, of the future. I think for the $800,000 combined with the 7 or 8 million or more that they're putting in, I think we're getting a good project here, so I support it. Thanks.
Awesome, thank you. All right, that's all I have for lights, so if you'd please use the board, this is to approve item 6, which is the term sheet for East Town Cub Foods. And that passes by a vote of 10. Yeah. All right. Thank you. All right. We are now on to item 7 under the report of the Green Bay Redevelopment Authority. This is to approve the term sheet with Broadway Events for the Outdoor Events Center. All right, there's a motion by Alderperson Dorf, second by Alderman Scannell, to approve item 7. Alderman Joe Moore.
Thanks, Your Honor. I wanted to offer an amendment to the term sheets.
Okay.
2 amendments. The first would be that we specify no repayment of the bond through general obligation debt. And the second would be, and I'll put in a communication after the meeting for this, to expand the current TIF or to create a new TID, which would encompass a proposed shipyard development and extend south to at least 9th Street.
Okay, so we're going to talk about these amendments now. And the 2 amendments offered by Alderman Moore, second by Alderman Scandal, is that this project be financed using no general obligation debt, and that we expand the TID or create a new TID to definitely encompass up to 9th Street. Yours is the only light on, Joe. Anything else? Okay, these are on the amendments. All right, so it is a motion. Alderman Stoyer on the amendments.
Thank you, Your Honor. I appreciate Alderman Moore coming up with that. That's something I think, Alderman Zima had looked at as well, going down to 9th Street as far as a TIF. So I think the project itself, I would like to see something like this develop. Green Bay is competing against Schwabenen, all these other communities with these developments. We really need to start looking and being proactive and being forward. So with that being said, I think the TIF would help quite a bit, the TID district going down to 9th Street, because I want to see development of these neighborhoods as well. So I support that. Thank you.
All right, so we'll take the first one first. This is to amend the term sheet to add the clause in there that none of the bond repayments would be part of the general obligation debt. Can I just take you guys again, Alderman Moore and Scannell? All right, so Alderman Zima.
Well, Your Honor, I think that's putting too big a burden on it. What's going to be left over for the rest of the community? I'm full support of the Second Amendment, and it was one of the things I pointed out earlier that, hey, the TIF district there is very small. It doesn't include the neighborhood. It doesn't include Broadway from the bridge down to 9th Street. And those folks have to be able to participate if they want to. There has to be, if there's money available, they should be able to participate as well as anybody else. The fact that, some folks say that it has to be 100% paid for by the project, I don't know. I mean, we have other amenities of this community. I believe that the city should leave the option open to contribute if they want to. If the project doesn't allow, I mean, this could be a killer to the project or any future development in the area. I see it as something that could benefit the community in a positive way, and we make contributions to other projects in the city of Green Bay. For God's sake, we were talking about 3 million a little earlier to an outside developer was going to purchase some for 3.8 million. So I think we should leave that open. I would encourage people to vote against this at this point in time. I'm not against the concept. I'm always in favor of it, but we don't have the details of this project. We had closed sessions, and the folks that came in and talked to us did not have numbers prepared for us. And they said that they would try to prepare them for us. We don't even know the scope of the project yet. But I do not want to just withhold arbitrarily that we might not contribute something to it if it's a good project.
Okay.
So I'm opposed to this amendment.
All right, thank you. Alderman Slotnick, this
Thank
is
you,
on
Mayor.
he wanted separation, so the amendment we're talking about right now is no repayment through general obligation debt.
Yes, I understand. And although we're discussing and voting separately on these amendments, I do support both of them, and I think of them as a unit, because I think exploring a new or expanded TIF is going to give us the opportunity to look at this in a way that's more general, more holistic, and can provide the necessary financing. That's why I think we ought to take the stand that we're not going to use general obligation debt on this. And as I said when we were in closed session, I don't want to mislead people. I just want to be clear that if this is going to be done with general obligation debt, I won't support the development agreement when it comes forward.
All right, thanks.
Thank
So let's, the first amendment is no repayment through GO debt. I've used the board on this. Yes vote, a yes vote on this means we will not use general obligation debt. A no vote means we could use general obligation debt. So the yes votes have it. So if this term sheet moves forward, one of the amendments we just approved is to use no general obligation debt for this project. Now, the second amendment offered by Alderman Moore was to expand the TID district or create a new TIF district to encompass more of the properties, definitely down to 9th Street.
Your Honor, by doing this,
Yep.
we don't even need a communication there. Then we could
You're right.
vote this, so.
You're right. It would be amended to it. Do you want to use the board on this? I don't see any lights. So this is to expand the existing TID or create a new area. Oh, I'm sorry. A yes vote would be, we'll tell them how to vote. A yes vote would mean we would expand the TIF or possibly create a new one. That's the amendment that Alderman Moore offered. Okay, and that passes with 11 votes, and thank you for that. So the proper motion would be to adopt as amended, and I understand there's going to be a lot of discussion on that, but I want to get this on the table. As amended. All right, seconded. First, a motion by Randy Scannell, and that was seconded by Alderman Stoyer. And Alderman Weary?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A lot to chew on here. I'll dig right in. I'll start with concerns. Coal dust, was that brought up at all? And I could direct that perhaps to Director Vonk. Or yourself. I
The
don't
coal
care where it
piles?
comes from. Yeah, right.
Yeah, that,
The coal dust in general, is
Right.
that going to affect the ball diamond, people at the field?
you want to talk about that, or I'm happy to. I mean, they're
Sure,
very
I
well
mean,
aware of that.
I know, well before my time, I maybe think there's been a long-term interest in moving those coal piles out of there. And we've talked about that with, the concerns, talked about that with the operators of Big Top, and they do not feel that it is a concern. I think they do right now what Sea Rice does in terms of their maintenance there and watering and spraying. I think that minimizes that. They do not see that as impacting their ability to run or host events there. I think it's something that we do take into consideration with the facility and money that we put in for maintenance. And I think it becomes a little bit more of a concern in just, the proper design of any additional developments that would go there, potentially on the north side, that we take that into consideration. But nothing to the extent that it would prevent this from moving forward. That question just comes up a lot, and I wanted people to know that it has been looked at and they've taken into consideration, because it is real. I don't envision the coal piles moving anytime soon. We've tried.
We have. Romy Dennison tried.
Yeah. Now, the school district hopefully contributing. I know this is something I spoke with the principal at West High School and the athletics director, and they're obviously excited about this. You know, they were tasked with either raising $1 million or putting it on a referendum, and if they can have their field here, obviously they wouldn't need to do that. That does take the school board off the hook for not having to get $1 million. So have we approached them? And if this moves forward, we need to approach them. First, I'll listen. Have we approached them with any discussions about helping with capital? Not just renting the field, but releasing it, but capital.
The discussions we've had is we know it's going to save them an investment at West. And we haven't got a commitment, but they understand. They're going to be using this, I don't know what, you have the number on it, but they understand there's going to be, that we're going to ask for some money for them. We don't have a number for you, but they have been approached. Do you want to comment on those meetings?
Yeah, I think, both from city perspective and then also Big Top has met with them separately just in terms of, how you get them in the queue of all the events going on there. I think one of the things, and this maybe extends a little bit further, is that, if moving forward with the term sheet, we look at all possible sources of ways to increase revenue and or reduce expenditures. And I think, again, in expanding the partnerships here, I think there is a good potential for a good partnership with the school district in terms of, I think we can come with a win-win situation. With that, we have not made a formal ask, but if we do move ahead, that is part of our negotiations moving forward. And I spoke to the school board president, and she didn't want to speak for the rest of the board, but she would entertain listening to this because they know it would save them a big headache of fundraising or putting on a referendum. So they're open. So please, if this goes forward and comes back, I want to hear that we went to them, and the school board needs to know this is ultimately going to help them as well. So
As a Wildcat, we would invite you to the meeting.
I will go.
Okay.
The parking. I really want to see that fully vetted. I know there's been a lot of information on that, but that was just my third bullet point here. I want to make sure we have enough parking. Moving on to positives, that land's been vacant. I think we've all known 40 years, long time. I really think this can be a catalyst for that area in need of a shot in the arm. I mean, when I ran for mayor 5 years ago, that was one of my 3 things I wanted to get done was build a ball field somewhere in that area. So I'm for this in principle. It's a public amenity that the private sector will help pay off. It's not a private entity that we're helping to pay off. It's our entity that they're helping to pay. So we need to remember that. And of course, near and dear to me being a West Wildcat, it would give West kind of a higher profile, a premier venue for their football and soccer. On that point, I was at the West football game last Friday. They're improving. And I asked at halftime 20 or so parents who were around me what they thought of it. And I'll tell you the truth, most were unsure, I guess cautious interest, but they didn't have much information. And I think that's mainly where the public's at right now. They don't have a lot of information. They're interested, cautiously so. So there really weren't a lot of negatives or super positives. There were interest. So I think on this issue, really, because of the lack of maybe public input, it's really going to be up to us to lead in one direction or another. And I think there's a lot of potential here. So, and yes, there's some issues that need to be addressed, but I'm going to vote yes. But we need to address the issues that are being brought up. And if those aren't addressed and I'm not happy with it, I just won't vote for it when it comes back. So this just keeps the ball rolling, which is important for momentum. But there's a lot of things that need to be addressed, and let's keep the ball rolling. So that's where I'm at.
Thank you. Alderman Zima.
Thank you, Your Honor. As you know, we had a lot of discussion in closed session, and we asked a lot of questions, and we didn't get a lot of answers. And I think it's important, I supported the expanding of the tax increment finance district, but it would be an empty gesture if we were going to have projects that have shown interest use all the revenue to subsidize their operations. I mean, I think we have to see what they're really asking for before we can make judgments about this. I think we should hold this for at least 30 days and let folks bring back and see exactly what are they expecting out of the revenue they'd be creating. If they're going to suck up all the oxygen of it, there won't be anything for further development. There's, I know I still have my doubts about the parking. I feel, not only the parking, the ingress and outbound traffic that would be created to come into this area. Broadway basically is a two-way street, one lane each way. The corridors into it are not any better. It is also a truck traffic lane, and you just can't park the street full and expect anything to be able to maneuver. There's many, many more questions that need to be answered. I am in favor of looking at this project and going farther with it. I think we need to open it up and say, here's the area that our new TID district is going to be. What interest is there out there if the stadium is put in place? And if there's enough interest and enough revenue that can be generated, then we see it as a positive project. I'm not even opposed to the city making some contribution to it. Others are strongly against that idea, but that also puts a damper on, are you going to encourage other development? If there's enough development, at this point in time, we don't know. The development that's been proffered to us, both candidates gave us no answers. They don't know. I think we gave them assurances that we're certainly interested in the project if it can succeed financially. And with one of the motions here tonight, the amendments put a tougher burden on it. It was a burden that was put on by the mayor some years ago. He said it had to be able to pay its own way. Okay. But I think at this point in time, we do not have all the information we need. We don't know anything about the environmental. We haven't done any soil borings yet. I think that's something that the city should do rapidly to find out what is the potential for the sites that are in question. Can we do the things we want to do? I think the people who might do some development need to know those things too. I think it's time that we made a big investment in purchasing the properties to start with, and we have done a lot of remediation. I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of $250,000 worth of remediation, but we still don't know what more needs to be done. There are people interested down the line.
You got 1 minute.
Oh, you want to gag everybody, don't you? And I don't need to be reminded. I make a motion that we hold this until we receive the information that all of us seem to want to have. That's my motion.
Second for discussion.
All right, so we have a motion by Alderman Zima. This is on holding this item. I mean, not that you, Alderman Zima, is your light on again? Okay, we will begin with Alderman Randy Scannell.
Thank you, Your Honor.
The motion to hold.
To hold, right. I'm not for holding. I think those other projects will have their own term sheets and their own development agreements, and we can make decisions on those at the time. I think right now we should be focusing on the ballpark, and I think we can realize that it is going to be a catalyst, that even if these other projects don't come online for whatever reason, other projects will come on. I think that the information we want from these other projects aren't going to happen until we've got a term sheet with the Big Top and we're moving forward with them. They're not going to spend the time on this. and put money into it if we're not willing to go forward with this ballpark. So I don't see any benefit to holding it up. I think we need to go forward with this, and there are a lot of things, again, to be worked out with this project as well, but that's what the final agreement will cover or not, and we'll decide then, so. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Tom Dwayne, this is on the motion to hold.
Thank you, Your Honor. I don't want anybody to be confused out there that we're against this project, because if you know, as we talked, everybody likes the idea, and we like the chances of bringing more than just the projects that are if the ballpark is done, it's going to bring. Adding the TIF is really going to help. I didn't even realize we didn't even check to see if it can be built there yet. We didn't do any soil testing, and I'm just finding out today for the first time. I'm going to ask. Can I ask Director Grenier? I mean, how long would it take? I mean, I understand that it's a term sheet, but don't you think it would be fair to let the people know that are going to build out here whether or not they're going to be able to do it or not? I mean, how long would it take to get something done, to get that property tested?
I guess I'm a little confused. I've heard people reference that environmental is unknown out there. That's not correct.
Okay, that's what I.
Department of Natural Resources has issued a clean bill of health for that particular property. So I don't know where that environmental misstatement came from. There's also preliminary geotechnical investigation that has been done over the years through 2 or 3 prior investigations. Preliminary data does suggest that this type of construction can occur on this property. We will be scheduling some more in-depth specialized testing. I hope to have that, the borings done within the next month. And then depending on the testing that's done, if sometimes clay tests can run up to 2 months. It just takes that long to run consolidation testing. So at this point, I'm not sure, but I would expect within the next 4 months or so that we would have those results back.
Thank you. This is something that I think departments should talk to each other, because we didn't get that information in our meeting, in our special meeting. Not that I, go ahead.
I think part of the reason, and to Director Grenier's point, I mean, the site has gone through, basically gotten a clean bill of health for DNR. Reports have a shelf life, and now that we're looking at it again for development, we have to start with fresh eyes looking at it again. Because at the time that was completed, there's additional other, I guess, contaminants or things that weren't a concern then, but are a concern now. We have to finish our due diligence in terms of completing the environmental assessment. With that, our consultant who has been working on those assessments feels like we're not going to end up any different than we were before, that we will still end up with a clean bill of health. Secondly, I think in working with the client on this in terms of projections for construction costs, they've put some pretty conservative assumptions about having to do a lot of work in terms of stabilizing the soil and putting in a lot of site prep work to that. So I don't think we're going to get hit with anything that's a surprise that says, okay, now this project is totally going out of the water.
Thank you.
So I think, Director Grenier and I are on the same page, and I apologize that didn't get communicated across. I think right now it's just kind of a technical measure, and that we are in the midst of undergoing those studies right now, just because in order to do it, the time that's lapsed since we did it last time to the time we have to do it now, we just have to finish it to get it up to date. So the DNR says, and we say, it's okay to build on there.
All right. Yeah, just hit your light. Alderman Dwayne has the floor, and there's 3 other lights. Nope, you don't have, you're going to hit your light. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I appreciate Steve clarifying that, and Dr. Vaughn. Something like this, with so many questions being asked in that closed session, it's going to take a couple months to get this done. I really like the project. I would like to see this council really get their backing into this. I really don't want to see a 7.5, a 6.6. I think if we just get those questions answered, I think that'll be better for the city, it'd be better for this council to get together on this project. I think the benefits are there, but I just seen too much in that meeting that I really believe to hold this for 30 days is not going to hurt the project. It'll give everybody time to get all their questions up to speed and answered, and so we can really look at this project. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So, go to Alderman Moore, the motion is to hold. Go ahead.
Thanks, Your Honor. You know, I think both of the developers that came back and met with us made it pretty clear that their projects can't happen, you know, without the event center. And this term sheet is for the event center. It's not for those other projects. And we're going to see separate term sheets for those projects sometime down the road. I think what we need to understand is that for either of these developers to, I don't know if anybody here has ever had to go get commercial blueprints done, but thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars just to have prints done on a project that, you know, if we're not showing any support on. 30 days from now, 60 days from now, 90 days from now, we're not going to have any new numbers from them and what they're requesting unless it's in the form of a term sheet. And we're not going to see a term sheet unless we approve the one that we've got tonight. So I'm against holding this. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Alderman Bill Galvin.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm not in favor of holding this either. I've seen that area sit. It looks like a blighted area. It's looked like that for over 30 years. Nothing's changed, nothing's happened. And I think it's time that this council takes a leadership role and lets the people in this community know that we're willing to step forward and take the steps that need to be taken to start the development down there. Alderman Moore was correct. These other two entities are not going to do anything. They're not going to spend any money unless they know the city's committed to helping it out. Other businesses that would be included in a new TID district or an expanded TID district, they're not going to come forward either unless they know the city's willing to take the necessary steps. And I think we need to go forward with this term sheet as it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Vanderleest? This is on holding for 30 days.
Holding it for 30 days. I think your soil testing is very critical. They could come back with a very negative report, or they could come back with a good report. I think you have to take it step by step. And if redevelopment, Dr. Vonk there's got it scheduled, the tests are going to come back. We should wait until those tests come back. And, you know, we could do a lot of, you know, entertaining a capital campaign here. You know, the city to raise some money, and the developer that could raise $2 or $3 million. You know, get some capital campaign going on this project, and then you'd have some more money to work with. You know, to be in a big rush. You know, if you came back and you had a capital campaign, let's say for 60 days, you know, throw it out there. There might be people that'd be interested in, you know, getting behind it. So, you know, there's more than one option here, and I think, you know, moving it ahead before we know the soil tests and some of the other particulars, as far as there's 4 different sites there. How long has it been since they tested the site where they want to put the ball club? How long has it been? Do you know, Dr. Vonk?
We didn't do Alderman.
I think it'd be very wise to, you know, to get those results back. And, you know, they might come back good, they might not.
Right.
And the costs, if they dig down in the ground 4 feet, you know, they might have to do a lot of extra work, depending on, and that can escalate costs. We'll know the cost on the site plan itself. I think that's very critical to the project. Just like if you're gonna build near a wetland, you gotta be so many feet back, you gotta have so much stone put down. And I think these are very critical issues before you say, you know, you can make a commitment. And so that's my thought on that, would be to, you know, get those facts first, and then, you know, we got 30 days. When it comes back, we can talk about it again.
All right, thank you. Alderman Zima. This is on holding.
Thank you, Your Honor. Well, I made the motion, so of course I support it, but I really resent the kind of subterfuge that's going on here. Mr. Grenier, has the testing been done on the site north of the boat slip?
Tell her another hour.
Are you making fun of things again?
question that's being asked. What I heard originally on the south property was no environmental was being done. What Director Vonk had responded to is that we're refreshing and updating the environmental, which is something completely different. So are you asking, has any environmental testing been done on the north side? Or are you asking, are we refreshing that north side as well?
Sir, I'm asking you a question. Is this, are you referring that soil testing was done for south of the boat slip?
There has been, in the,
Stadium that is not going to dig into the ground.
in the past, there has been environmental investigation of both north of the slip and south of the slip. What Director Vonk was indicating is some of that environmental work needs to be updated with current regulations.
What are you saying is actually, just has to be redone and that was good in the past? Was it the entire site, both sides of the slip, or just south side?
I never said anything wasn't good, it needs to be updated. That's a DNR regulation. It was done in accordance with,
It was good both sides of the slip?
it was completed in accordance with the DNR regulations at the time. DNR regulations have changed, requiring an update of that information. That would apply equally to both north and south.
What did it say south of the, north of the slip?
North of the slip had a conditional closure.
Your Honor, Mr. Vonk has spoken very directly to us that, you know, that north of the slip, you know, they were looking at maybe some apartment development. And when we asked about parking for that, in addition to the other, I said, well, can you go underground parking there or whatever? He said, well, no, that's problematic. So he said that the environmental conditions of that soil there, the way I understood it, and I'll be corrected if I misunderstood it in any way, but that land could serve as something that's just going on top of it, but nothing that had to dig into it. Am I mistaken in that, or did you say something other than what I heard?
Kevin,
Mr. Vonk.
Sure.
Dr. Vonk.
I think one of the concern about going underground there is less about the environmental condition of the soil and the actual engineering and stability of the soil, that basically these two sites are historic river fill, where you just in the day brought whatever kind of dumping material to the site and dumped it in the river, and it's more of a structural issue than an environmental issue. There are some environmental contaminants, but it's more of a structural issue that we've dealt with all up and down the waterfront. It's not to say it's impossible to go underground, but it's at what cost? And I think the most cost-effective that we've looked at, based on the studies that we've had, is to build at grade or on slab. Not impossible to go underground, we can do it, but in terms of the most cost-effective way of doing things, it would be at grade.
Right.
And that creates, of course, other problems for development, because then you have to find your parking. You have to have, what's our standard, about 1.5 parking stalls per apartment unit?
Half for downtown areas.
What's that?
Or, yes, or depending on the bedroom, but half for downtown areas, those parking requirements can be reduced. You can also start the occupancy.
But would there be any reason to reduce? I mean, some of the complaints about the old Alexander Apartments is that one of the parking stalls for it is off-site. It becomes a negative. But it creates a greater need for parking in the area. Does it or does it not?
Depending on the product that's built, it could or it could not.
Well, if you say you can't go underground, it means you have to have it on the surface, correct?
I'm not saying you can't go underground, I'm saying the cost to go underground
Is prohibitive.
not impossible.
Not impossible, but costly. Well, you know, we had two people come in and said that they're willing to put their figures together. They seem to agree very succinctly to us that, gee, when they put together a project, just like we're going to put it together, they want to know what they're dealing with first, and they showed willingness to let us know what that is. And I just don't think you put your toe in the pond before you know what's underneath the soil there. And I'm not talking about environmentally here, I'm just giving it as an analogy. We want to know what they're going to build, what they want from us. And if it's going to use up all the TIF money, well, then I'm saying that it's too much, because we want something left over for the neighborhoods and the rest of the street. What are we going to build a bigger TIF district if we're not going to generate any TIF that could help those situations? So I want more answers. I think most people want more answers, and that's the reason. It's not going to make a difference in the building, whether we held this 1 or 2 or even 3 months. We need to have our hands around this before we can confidently go to the public and say we support it. Thank you.
Alderman Nenning.
Thank you. It strikes me that when, in the discussions that we've had, we hear that the private investors are not able to commit unless the city commits, and the city's not able to commit unless the private investors commit. So, it's that kind of a situation where I think both sides, all parties involved with this, need to come to some agreement on the issues that are involved here. And, when the council, I think that we have to be careful in how we give direction to our staff. We need to be clear on the directions that we give to our staff. A term sheet is giving our staff direction to work on a development agreement based on the terms that are listed here. And there are a lot of issues that have been raised about parking, about the railroad crossings, about who replaces the turf when it needs to be replaced, about the value of the private investment and the TIF requirements. There are a lot of questions that need to be answered. So I'm not saying that I will vote against the project or anything when it comes. I think it's something that has a lot of merit. I think it's a part of the city that does need some effort. I have an open mind, but I really feel at this point I'm going to support Alderman Zimmer's motion to hold it.
All right. So you were the last light. So the motion on the floor is to hold. A yes vote holds it, a no vote, we will deal with it now. A yes vote holds the development agreement. A no vote, we'll deal with it tonight. Yep. A yes, if you vote, the motion on the floor is to hold the project, to not act on it. So if you vote yes, we hold the project. If you vote no, we're going to deal with it here. We all good? It's a tie vote? Good. This is, to hold this it's a tie vote. 6 of you said to hold it, 6 of you said, let's deal with it here. So I get to break the tie, and I'm happy to do that. Look, I know the communication needs to be stronger with the council and with the community, but we have been at this for years, and I think we have a real opportunity here to capture Mark Scogan's charity along with a lot of economic development. And we have work to do, but as I showed you in my office, we have 20 projects we're working on, and unless the council supports it, we're not going to work on it. We're done with Easttown. This stadium tonight, I want to move forward. I think it's a great project for us. There's no geodebt in here, which you just told me tonight. We're going to get the tax increment financing to pay for this. So I am going to break the tie and vote no to hold it. I think we're ready to go. And we need to come back to you with a term sheet, with a development agreement. But that development agreement is going to have a whole lot of these terms in there, and we're just going to tighten them up for you. So the chair votes no, and that item is back on the agenda. I technically have to do it. Yep. So did you? All right, let me clear this first, Joe. All right. Alderman Moore has made a motion to approve the term sheet as amended, and you understand there's no geodebt in expanding the TID or creating a new one. In the second by Alderman Scannell. Please use the board on this. This is to approve the amended term sheet. And that passes by a vote of 8-3. Thank you. We'll talk about this again. Okay, clerk, what's for breakfast? Let's keep moving.
Report of the Finance Committee.
There's a motion by Alderman Moore, second by Alderperson Dorff, to approve the report of the Finance Committee, and that was for the meeting held on October 11th. Are there any items in this report you wish to handle separately? Seeing no lights, all in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it. The report of the Finance Committee has been adopted.
Report of the Improvement and Service Committee.
We've got a motion by Alderman Bill Galvin, seconded by Alderman Randy Scannell, to approve the report of the Improvement and Service Committee for the meeting held on October 12th. Any items on this report you wish to handle separately? Seeing no lights, all in favor of that report, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. That report's been approved.
Report of the Personnel Committee.
All right, there's a motion by Alderman Randy Scannell, second by Alderman Bill Galvin, to approve the report of the Personnel Committee. That was for the meeting held on Tuesday, October 11th. Any items in this report you wish to handle separately? Seeing no lights, all in favor of that report, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nays. Ayes have it. That report's been approved.
Report of the Protection and Welfare Committee.
There's a motion by Alderperson Dorff, second by Alderman Scannell, to approve the report of the Protection and Welfare Committee. That was for the meeting held on Monday, October 10th. Any items here you wish to handle separately? Item 4. All right. Hearing no others, all in favor of the remainder of that report, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it. All items have been approved with the exception of item 4. What are your wishes regarding item 4? There's a motion to approve by Alderman Tom Slotnick, seconded by Alderman Randy Scannell. Alderman Moore.
Thanks, Your Honor. This was a conditional approval based on having a letter of support dropped off from the employer confirming they're aware of the felony. I wanted to make sure that that was received, and if it hasn't been received yet, if we place a deadline on that, for that to be submitted.
Chief, do you want to, Captain or the attorney, somebody want to comment on that? Go ahead, Vanessa.
That was received in my office yesterday, and it has been added to their file in the clerk's office.
All right. So there's a motion, a second, to approve item 4. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nays. Ayes have it, and that item has been approved.
Report of the Protection and Welfare Committee granting operator licenses.
So motion by Alderman Zima, second by Alderman Scannell, to approve the report granting operating licenses. Are there any names under this report you wish to handle separately or abstain from? Hearing none, all in favor of that report, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it. Those licenses have been approved.
Receive and place on file building permit report for September 2016 and municipal court report for September 2016.
All right, there's a motion by Alderman Slotnick, second by Alderman Randy Scannell, to receive and place on file the 2 reports as stated by the clerk. Any discussion here? Seeing no lights, all in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nays. Ayes have it, and those 2 items have been received and placed on file.
We're on to resolutions. You may enter suspension of the rules, adopt resolutions 10 through 13 together with one roll call vote.
All right, there's a motion by Alderman Randy Scannell, seconded by Alderman Chris Weary, to suspend the rules for that purpose. All in favor of suspension, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nays. The ayes have it. The rules are suspended. Motion to adopt by Alderman Randy Scannell, seconded by Alderman Bill Galvin. Any discussion here? If you'd please use the board. These are resolutions 10, 13. And those are approved unanimously. Thank you. Okay.
Ordinances first reading. You may under suspension of the rules advance ordinances 14 and 15 to a third reading.
All right, there's a motion by Alderman Randy Scannell, seconded by Alderperson Dorff, to suspend the rules for that purpose. All in favor of suspension, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nays. Ayes have it. Entertain a motion to advance by Alderman Scannell, seconded by Chris Yannis, Alderman Weary. We can do this on a voice vote. This is to advance ordinances 2316 and 2416. All in favor of advancement, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nays. Ayes have it. Those first readings have been advanced to the third.
Ordinance's third reading, you may under suspension of the rules adopt ordinances 17 and 18 together with one roll call vote.
All right, there's a motion by Alderman Randy Scannell, second by Alderman Chris Weir to suspend the rules for that purpose. All in favor of suspension, please signify by saying aye. And those opposed, nays. Ayes have it. In a motion to adopt. Alderman Randy Scannell, second by Alderman Galvin. And if you guys, please use the board on these two. Are we done? Huh? All right, that's, right. I need a motion to suspend the rules for late communication. There's a motion by Alderman Chris Weary, second by Alderman Joe Moore, to suspend the rules for late communication. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, nays. Alderman Nicholson?
Thank you, Mayor. For the RDA to have the city renegotiate the East Hall Mall project, thank you.
All right, thank you. With that, your budget books are in your mailboxes. If you want to pick those up on your way out, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Alderman Randy Scannell, second by Alderman Galvin. All in favor of adjournment, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, nays. Ayes have it. Thank you.